Congratulations. I rejoice with everyone on the start of a new year, year 2021. 2020 was a very harsh but remarkable year. With you all our partners in growth, we triumph over the hurdles that later all our paths. On behalf of the board, I say thank you to all our stakeholders that help us in attaining new heights. I particularly appreciate the Governor of Lagos State, Mr. Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu, a passionate, committed, and transformational leader. Thank you for the giant leaps we made, especially through Eco-Excel initiative. I equally thank our amiable and pleasant Deputy Governor, Dr. Obafemi Kadri Hamzat, for his immense support for all the activities of the board. I thank the Honorable Commissioner of Education, Mrs. Folashade Adefisayo, for her remarkable leadership role in the sector. To the Executive Secretary, Dr. Hamid Boboyi, and management staff of UBEC, ministries, departments, and agencies in the state that partner with us to ensure the smooth running of the basic education sector, I say thank you. To our corporate friends who stood by us and the people of Lagos State despite the harsh economic realities, I express our heartfelt gratitude. I'm particularly pleased with all our private sector partners in the recently launched Project Zero initiative. I cannot forget our wonderful teachers and parents who ensure that our children continue to learn even when our schools were shut. My sincere appreciation to the entire management and staff of LASUBEB and the education family for their hard work and commitment all year round. Let us get back to work with a renewed energy. Together we can achieve more. I wish everyone a happy, healthy, and prosperous 2021. Ìgbéga ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó, àjùmọ̀ṣe ni o.
Hello pupils, you're welcome to another wonderful edition of your favorite program, The Classroom in Your Home. A program organized by the Lagos State Government and packaged by the Lagos State Universal Basic Education Board, LASUBEB. It is to ensure that you are academically engaged in addition to what you're learning in school. I am Auntie Fumi, your English Studies teacher, and I have with me, as usual, your wonderful teachers.
Hello children, I am Uncle Agbaje, your mathematics teacher, but you know me as the mathematician.
Uncle Popo is here, your general studies teacher.
And we also have in the house our beautiful sign language interpreter, Auntie Rosemary. Together,
We are bringing the classroom into your home.
Please stay tuned. Hello pupils, you're welcome to Auntie Fumi's class. In our English Studies lesson today, our focus will be figure of speech. Yes, that's the topic for today, figure of speech. But before we go into the learning objective for today's lesson, the correction to our previous homework, let's go there. In our last lesson, we looked at the parts of speech, and you were asked to group the following words into parts of speech. That is where they belong. So, how many of you got everything correctly? Are you sure? Then you are smart children, and I must celebrate you with a cheer. Good job, you. Now to the learning objective for today's lesson. By the end of today's lesson, you should be able to list the figure of speech with their examples. You should be able to list the figures of speech with their examples. Not only that, you should also be able to identify the figures of speech in sentences given to you. Are you ready for today's lesson? Then let's go. Let's begin today's lesson. What is a figure of speech? A figure of speech is a word or phrase that possesses a separate meaning from its literal definition. I want to take that again. A figure of speech is a word or phrase that possesses a separate meaning from its literal definition. It's a word or phrase that has a different meaning from the literal definition. Now, let's look at examples of figures of speech. Examples of figures of speech. The first one is simile, followed by metaphor. We also have hyperbole. We have personification. We have onomatopoeia. We have alliteration. Another one is irony and oxymoron. So, just like we did when we were in the part of speech class, we are going to pronounce them, we are going to call them together, one after the other. Shall we? Okay. Simile, metaphor, hyperbole, personification, onomatopoeia, alliteration, irony, and oxymoron. Good. Now, let's look at these figures of speech one after the other. Simile. What is a simile? Simile is the comparison between two unlike things using like or as. Simile is the comparison between two unlike things using like or as. Look at this example. She was acting like a pig. She was acting like a pig. We are comparing the girl or the lady with a pig using the word like. So here is an example of simile. She was acting like a pig. Now let's look at metaphor. Metaphor is the direct comparison between two unlike things that actually have something important in common. When you're comparing between two unlike things that actually have something important, there is something about them that they have in common. That is metaphor. Let's look at examples. She was a pig. She was a pig. We are doing direct comparison. We are not saying she was as dirty as a pig, but we are saying she was a pig. That means she has a quality of a pig. That means at the time they were talking about her, she was the dirty type. So she was a pig. Ayinde is a lion. We are no longer saying Ayinde is as brave as a lion. But now we are saying Ayinde is a lion. That is direct comparison. Talking about how brave Ayinde is. That is talking about metaphor. Direct comparison. When we are comparing two unlike things, but they have something important in common. Are we together? Now, hyperbole. Hyperbole. Hyperbole is extreme exaggeration. Now, let's look at an example of an hyperbole. You have said that 1,000,000 times before. That's an example of an hyperbole. You have said it 1,000,000 times before. Is it possible you can't? How many times she has said it and to be up to 1,000,000? No, you are exaggerating the number of times she has said it. That is hyperbolic in nature. So, hyperbole is extreme exaggeration. Are we together? Now, let's move to another figure of speech. Personification. Personification. What does this mean? It is giving human characteristic to something not human. Something that is not a human being, you are giving the quality of a human being to that thing. Giving human characteristics or human quality to something non-human. Here is an example. The branches danced in the wind. The branches, that is the branches of the tree, danced in the wind. It is human beings that dance. Branches or trees don't dance. But the moment you now decide to give human quality or human characteristic of dancing to the tree, it becomes personification. Maybe there was a wind and the branches were moving this way. You now said the branches danced in the wind. That is personification. Are we together? Good job. Well done. The next one is onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia. What does it mean? It is a word that expresses a sound. Onomatopoeia is a figure of speech talking about a word expressing a sound. Let's look at this example. Shh. No talking in the library, please. Shh. It is the sound I gave. The shh that I first said is talking about, is expressing the sound of noise making. Shh. No talking in the library, please. Onomatopoeia expresses a sound. It is another figure of speech that expresses a sound. Okay, the next figure of speech we are looking at is alliteration. Say alliteration. Okay, what does that mean? Alliteration are series of words with the same beginning consonant sounds. When you have a sentence and each of the words in the sentence has the same consonant sound beginning the words, what you have is called alliteration. Let's look at the sentence. She sells seashells on the seashore. She sells seashells on the seashore. If I ask you to repeat this sentence now, maybe you say it for like 4 consecutive times. Many of you will not be able to say it. Can you try it? Okay, let's do it. She sells seashells on the seashore. She sells seashells on the seashore. She sells seashells on the seashores. And you are not able to say it. Oh, this is a perfect example of alliteration. It is the series of words with the same beginning consonant sound. What is that consonant sound that is common here? Yes, the sound. That is letter S. S beginning with she. She sells. That's beginning with letter S. Seashells, letter S. Sea, letter S. And shore. Oh, seashore, letter S. So we have series of words with the same beginning consonant sound as alliteration. Are we together? Now, we have looked at the different figures of speech that we have. And now it's activity time. We want to see how attentive you have been in the course of this lesson. For your classwork, you are going to tell us what figures of speech are presented in these sentences or are represented in these sentences. Number 1, ouch, you stepped on my toe. What figure of speech do you have there? Number 2, the news spread like a fire. What figure of speech is that? Number 3, you are beautiful than rainbow colors. You are beautiful than rainbow colors. What figure of speech is that? Number 4, stop being a big baby. Stop being a big baby. Lastly, I saw a saw. I saw a saw that could cut any other saw I ever saw. So, what figure of speech is that? In the next 30 seconds, you have to write just the answer, and your time starts now. down, eyes on me. You've been able to write 5 different figures of speech. Now, let's do the correction together. Ouch! You stepped on my toe. That is an onomatopoeia. Did you get that? Are you sure? Then give yourself a tick. Well done. The news spread like a fire. We said when you're comparing two unlike things that are unlike in nature, when you're comparing them using as or like, we have simile. So the news spread like a fire is an example of simile. Did you get that too? Good job, you. You are beautiful than rainbow colors. You are beautiful than rainbow colors. That is an exaggeration, so it is an hyperbole. Number 4, stop being a big baby. Stop being a big baby. That is an oxymoron. Yes, because we're using two words that are not alike to create effect. And lastly, I saw a saw that could cut any other saw I ever saw. That is an alliteration, yes, because we kept repeating the saw, 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 saw. So, I got 5 out of 5. What about you? Wow, I am proud of you. You are smart children, and I celebrate you with a cheer. Good job, you. Well done. Now to the assignment. For your assignment, you are to identify the figure of speech in the following sentences. Let me give you 20 seconds to copy this assignment, and I'll come back to sign out. By now, you should have finished copying your assignment. So, make sure you do your assignment, make sure you submit immediately, and make sure that you indicate your name, your school, your class, and your local government education authority. That is the only way through which you can be identified and rewarded accordingly. So, on that note, we have come to the end of today's lesson. Today, we looked at the figures of speech and we gave examples of the figures of speech that we have. So, we've come to the end of the English Studies lesson for today. It's time for me to hand you over to the mathematician, Uncle Agbaje, for another beautifully packaged mathematics lesson. Before I go, I'll keep reminding you that Auntie Fumi is always proud of you. Bye.
Hello, children. You are welcome to this segment of the program, The Classroom in Your Home. It is mathematics time, and that means it is time to have some fun. I am Uncle Agbaje. In our last lesson, we discussed calculating the volume of cylinders, and you were given some assignment. Today, we will continue with our work on cylinders, but this time we'll be solving word problems. So word problems on a volume. Now, before that, let's look at that assignment that was given to you. You were asked to find the volume of these cylinders. This one has a radius, but this one, we're given the diameter. It also has a radius, but we're given the diameter. So to find the volume means to find the number of cubes that are inside this cylinder. So we need to find the number of cubes on the first layer, and that is to find the area of the top. Then how many layers are there? We have 816 layers. So we multiply by the height. And for this one, 14 layers, but we need to know the radius first. So let's just begin without wasting much time. We begin with that one where we have the diameter. The radius will be half of the diameter, and that is 21 divided by 2. But I'll just leave it like that. Now, the number of cubes at the top will be pi times the radius times the radius. Then for the whole cylinder, then we multiply by the height. And so the volume is the base area or the top area times the height. And so that is pi r squared times the height. The pi is 22/7. The radius is 21/2 times 21/2 again, because there are two radii multiplying each other. They multiply by the height, which is 14 meters, which shows that there are 14 layers. So this first three tells us the number of squares at the top layer, then times 14, the number of layers that we have. So when you get to this point, see, we are almost there. Then we simplify. So 7 goes here 1, 7 goes here 3. 2 goes here 1, 2 goes here 11. 2 can still divide, 2 goes here 1, 2 goes here 7. So we have 3 times 7, which is 21, times 21, which should give us 441. Then when you multiply 441 by 11, what do we get? Well, I won't waste too much time multiplying that. We'll get 4,851. I believe you all know how to multiply, and that this is the answer that you got. Oh, did you use 21 as your radius? That was an error, my friend. Do not do that again. When you are given the diameter, you have to take half of it for the radius. Let's see that second one. Here, the procedure is still the same. The base area times the height. The base is a circle, so we'll find the area of that circle, that is pi r squared, then multiply by the height. The radius in this case is 6 meters, so pi is 22/7, the radius 6, then the height is 816 meters. We can't divide or multiply like this. We have to change this number to an improper fraction, and so that is 6 times 8 is 48 plus 1, that is 49/6. Then all these 6 meters, we can put them above and put 1 below. And when we get to this point, we are almost there. All we have to do is to simplify further. So let's see what goes. 6 goes here 1, 6 goes here 1 meter. 7 goes here 1, 7 goes here 7 meters. And so we have 1, 1, 1, 1 in the denominator, so we just focus on the numerator. 6 times 7 is 42. 42 times 22 should give us what? I think that should give us 924 cubic meters. Did you get this right? Excellent job, you, my friend. You are getting there. But if you did not, no problem. You will have enough time to practice with the work that we have today. But for those of you that got it right, let me celebrate you with a chair. Now moving on to today's learning objectives. By the end of the lesson, we should be able to interpret word problems on volumes. Yeah, that's the essence of mathematics. We have to solve real-life problems. You should be able to interpret those word problems and solve those word problems, especially those that pertain to cubes and cuboids and those that pertain to cylinders. You should be able to solve real-life problems. So without wasting much time, let's just begin. Okay, so this question says, Sarah has a chocolate box whose length is 12 centimeters, height is 9 centimeters, and the width is 6 centimeters. We have to find the volume of the box. Now, you have to ask yourself, a box takes what shape? Is it the shape of a cylinder or the shape of a cuboid? Of course, you have a box right here, and it takes the shape of a cuboid. Okay, so we have the length and the breadth and the height. So we just find the volume of that cuboid. So the length is 12 centimeters, we have been given. The breadth is 6 centimeters, we have been given. The height is 9 centimeters, we have been given. That is a cuboid. To find the volume of a cuboid, we only multiply the length by the breadth by the height. And that is because the area of the top or the bottom is length times breadth, and the height gives you the number of layers. Okay, so that is 12 centimeters times 6 centimeters times 9 centimeters. 12 times 6 is 72. Then multiplying that by 9 centimeters, so let's do that. 72 times 9. 9 times 2 is 18. We write 8 and we regroup 1. 9 times 7 is 63 plus 1. That is 64. And then that will be centimeter cubes because you have centimeter, centimeter, centimeter as centimeter cubes. So that is 648 cubic centimeters. But you know we are not done. We have to answer the question. The question says find the volume of the box. Then you say therefore the volume of the box is 648 cubic centimeters, and that means that in that box you can fit 648 small cubes in there. Hope that was clear enough. Let's check out another word problem. This says, calculate the volume of a tin of milk whose base area is 28 centimeters squared and height is 6.5 centimeters. Okay, let's look at this question again. Calculate the volume of a tin of milk whose base area is 28 centimeters squared and height is 6.5 centimeters. Remember that in the last lesson I said that when you're working with mathematics problem, you don't need to cram formulas mindlessly. The most important thing is that you understand what you are doing. Now look at this. I don't know what brand of milk is this. Some of you are saying, I know. I don't know. But the most important thing is that it's a brand of milk and it is in the shape of a cylinder. But do we know the radius? Let's read the question again. The base area is 28 centimeters squared and the height is 6.5 centimeters. No radius, no diameter. How do we use the formula? Well, do not get confused, my friend. Look at what has been given to you. It says the base area is 28 centimeters squares. And that means that at the bottom, there are 28 squares. Which means that there will be 28 cubes on the first layer. If you have been following the lesson and the way we have been explaining, then you realize that the volume itself is to know the number of squares or the cubes at the first layer and multiply by the height. So we've already been given the number of squares and cubes on the first layer to be 28. 28 on the first layer, and then the height is 6.5. So we only need to multiply what you have on the first layer by 6.5. So our work in essence has been simplified. We don't need to find the area of the bottom. It has been given to us 28. All we need to do is just multiply it by the height and we are home free. I like this kind of question. I don't need to bother with pi or the radius. The area has been given already. So let's begin. The base area is 28 centimeters squares. And that means that on the first layer you have 28 cubes. The height is 6.5 centimeters. So I just need to find the base area multiplied by the number of layers, which is the height. And that is 28 centimeters squares by 6.5. So you see, if you had put the formula in the head and you're thinking, oh, and I will just look for the radius. Unfortunately, there is no radius. And if you don't understand what volume is all about, you won't be able to solve this kind of problem as easy as it is. So 28 centimeters, first layer, multiplied by the height. We need to do this. So let me just do that below here. 28 multiplied by 65. 28, 65. Draw a line between the numbers and then diagonal between. Now 8 times 6 is 48. 8 times 5 is 40. 2 times 6 is 12. 2 times 5 is 10. Along the diagonals we add 0 here. 8 plus 4 plus 0, that is 12. Then I regroup 1. 1 plus 4 is 5. 5 plus 2 is 7. 7 plus 1 is 8. I write it at the end of that. Then 1 here. And so we have 1820. But we must remember that there is one digit after the decimal point here and none here. So altogether we have one digit after the decimal point. So I take one digit from the right, put a decimal point. So I will get 182.0 centimeter cubes. And so what that means is that the volume of the milk is 182 centimeter cube. That you can arrange 182 cubes inside that cylinder. That is what it means. Okay, so let's check out the final example. I like this one. This question says there is a rectangular tank of the dimensions 5 meters by 9 meters by 4 meters. And that tank obviously will be in the shape of a cuboid. The bottom is a rectangle. It is half filled with water. We are to find the volume of the water, not the volume of the tank, okay? The volume of the water. And what we know is that the tank is half filled with water, and that means that water in the tank will take up half of the space that the whole tank will take. The whole tank, the space that the whole tank is taking is the volume. So if the water is taking up half of that space, then the volume of the water will be half of the volume of the whole tank. So to find the volume of the water, as you can see, we only need to find the volume of the full tank and divide it into 2. Or we take half of the volume of the whole tank. But if it is a cuboid, a rectangular tank, how do we find the volume? Do you remember? Of course you do. We just multiply the length by the breadth by the height. That is the volume of the full tank. But now to find the volume of the water, which is only halfway, you now take half of that. So that's why we're writing the length is 5 meters, the breadth is 4 centimeters, and the height is 9 centimeters, as you can see. Now, the volume of the tank will be length times breadth times height, and that will be 5 times 4 times 9. So 5 times 4 times 9, 5 times 4 is 20, 20 times 9, we'll get 180 centimeter cubes. Let me just show you that. 20 times 9. 2 times 9 is 18. Then we write the 0 there. That's how we got 180. Okay, so we get 180 centimeter cubes, and that is the volume of the whole tank. But volume of water is half of the volume of the tank, right? Okay, that means the volume of water is half of 180 centimeter cubes. And that means that if you can arrange 180 centimeter cubes to fill the tank, half of it will get here, where the water is, and that is 90 centimeter cubes. Half of 180, 180 divided by 2, 2 goes here, 1, 2 goes here, 9, 2 goes here, 0. That's how we got 90, and that means that the volume of water in the tank is actually 90 centimeter cubes. These kind of problems, you need to be very careful. What are they asking you? They didn't ask you to find the volume of the tank. You were asked to find the volume of water in the tank, which is only half of the tank. All right, so you have something similar. Your turn. You have to find the volume of water in this drum. A drum of base area 42 meters squared and height 9 meters is half filled with water. Now you have the area of the base. No need for diameter or radius, and the height is given. What is the volume of water in the tank? The water is only half filled. I'm sure that you can do this. Then begin. Alrighty then, did you make progress? Well, let's just see whether you and we are on the same page. Well, the first thing I need to do is that we need to find the volume of the drum itself. And so since we already know the base area, that will give us the number of cubes that can occupy one layer. And that is a 42 meter cube. Okay, 42 cubes for one layer. Now, what is the height? The height is 9. That means that there are 9 layers. So we just multiply 42 by 9. The volume of the drum will be base area times height, and that is 42 meters squared by 9. Now, 9 times 2 is 18. Let me write that out. Nine times 2 is 18. I regroup 1. 9 times 4 is 36 plus 1. That is 37. And so that is 378 for the volume of the drum. But it is not yet over, because we were not asked to find the volume of the drum. We were asked to find the volume of water in the drum. All right. So that is 378 centimeter cube. But the volume of water is half the volume of the drum. And so that will be half of 378. So let's see what half of 378 will be. 2 goes here, 1, 2 goes here, 1 remaining 1, 2 goes in 17, 8. remaining 1, 2 goes in 18, you have 9. And so our final answer should be 189 centimeter cubes. Let's see whether we are right. Of course, it is 189 centimeter cubes. Is that what you got to? You were almost there. Well, it's no problem. I'll still give you kudos. You did well. But you will have enough time to practice with the assignment, which is coming up right about now. Ensure that you do your assignment, because that is the only way you can get better. You don't get to become a mathematician in one day. Practice, make mistakes, learn from your errors, and become better. Capture this in 30 seconds, and I'll be right back. Alrighty then, I believe that you are done. Now we have come to the end of the mathematics lesson for today. I trust that you had some fun and that you learned something new. Well, it's not yet over for the day, because Uncle Popo is about to come on with the general studies lesson. As for me, I'll be on my way out of here. Till I come your way in the next class, remain wonderful mathematicians. Bye-bye now.
Hello pupils, you are welcome to General Studies class. I am Uncle Popo. Let's open today's lesson the usual way we've been doing. Uncle Popo is here.
I am also here.
Great. We are here together.
100% attention.
Excellent. 100% attention is what I want you to give me in today's lesson. Our subject for today is social studies. In social studies, in our last lesson, we talked about telecommunication systems. There we talked about GSM telecommunication service providers, and we also talked about the reason why telecommunication systems not functioning properly, and so we suggested solutions to the problems. Today, we want to look at another interesting topic. Now, before we go into today's lesson, I want to quickly share a story. There lived a king in one part of Nigeria. The name of the king is Oba Omojomolo. What's the name of the king? Oba Omojomolo. So this king is very rich, and people loved him because he plays with people a lot. But there is one thing about this king. He loved male children. Anytime he gives birth to a male child, the king will slaughter like 7 cows to celebrate the naming ceremony. But when he gives birth to a female child, he will just slaughter just chicken, maybe 1 or 2. That is to show the extent at which the king so value male children. So because of that, people have known this king to be that, and he doesn't give equal treatment or equal benefit or opportunity to female. And because of that, they name him Oba Omojomolo. So I heard about that, and I tried to interview the king. And before that, the king has this very song. So when I say when I sing, the response you will give you is Omojomolo. That's just the response you will say. So, are you ready? It is a May child, oh. Your response will be Omojomolo. It is a May child, oh. Omojomolo. It is a May child, oh. Omojomolo. That is whenever the king is celebrating or is happy, that's the song he loves dancing to. It is a male child. A child is superior to another, meaning that he so much loves male children. That means he's saying that a male child is superior to a female child. So I tried to interview the king, and they said, truly, male child is superior to a female child. And I told the king that, King, Your Highness, that is gender discrimination. So the king said, gender discrimination? I said, yes, because you are giving unequal treatment to the other child. You are treating a male child to have more benefit, more opportunity than the female. So you now say, okay, tell me more about what you call gender discrimination. So that is the topic today. We shall be learning more about gender discrimination. The learning objectives. By the end of the lesson, you should be able to define gender, list areas of gender discrimination, state consequences and solutions to gender discrimination. When we say gender, what does it mean? When you say gender, we are referring to a male and a female. Gender is the state of being a male or a female based on physical, behavioral, and social differences. Gender is the state of being a male or a female based on physical, that is the physical appearance, behavioral, the way a male child behaves is quite different to how female child behaves, and social differences, that's gender. Now let's talk about that gender discrimination. Now from the story, I think you should have picked what gender discrimination is, but let's discuss it. Gender discrimination means unequal treatment given to a particular gender, whether male or female, over another for benefit or opportunity. Gender discrimination means unequal, the treatment is not equal, given to a particular gender, whether male or female, over another for benefit or opportunity. That is gender discrimination. And at times there was a gender. Now let's look at the areas of gender discrimination. Areas of gender discrimination. In that story, people had seen that king behaving that way, and some tried to follow his step, as in trying to love a male child than female child, giving a male child more opportunity and benefit than the other. So the same attitude is, or the same practice, we can say, we still experience some, but not like that as they were experiencing in the olden day, but we are still experiencing some. Let's look at the areas of gender discrimination. Education. Education is one of the areas of gender discrimination. We have some cultures that believe that a female child should not be educated. And because of that, they can educate a male child or a boy, but the female child, they don't bother to educate a female child because their culture doesn't believe in training or raising a girl child education. That's one area. Another one is employment. Employment is another area. I can say that even when given when an employment opportunity opens, let's say we have a job that whether a male or female could take the offer, but in some companies they would prefer to give it to a certain gender, maybe to a particular female or to a particular male, and it's supposed to be given to any of them. So we still have this discrimination when talking about employment. So that is another area. Next is politics. In politics, that's why we have very few women occupy political positions as compared to men, because some just believe women should not be found in politics, and the orientation, some women are still believing that it's only men can handle this, men can do this. So that's another area of gender, and because of that, gender discrimination occurs. So another area is in politics. We have gender discrimination there. Next one is family ties. There are families where women are treated as lesser people, not as equal members of the family. And some families believe that maybe during meeting or they are having certain ceremony, the female will be given another seat or they won't rate them like they rate the male children. And at times they will allow the male child to speak first because that's their belief in that family. So that's another area of gender discrimination. Next one now, let's look at another one is inheritance. In some community today, women are still being denied the right of inheriting the property of their deceased husbands, relatives, or parents. That's another area of gender discrimination. So let's look at the consequences of gender discrimination. When you allow gender discrimination, what are the consequences? The first one is denial of fundamental human rights. Denial of fundamental human rights. It's against the law to deny somebody's right. To deny people legal opportunities because of their gender is a violation of their fundamental human rights. We all need to have equal treatment, equal benefits, equal opportunity. So that is one. The next one is demoralization. That means it makes people unhappy and lose interest in what they do. Yes, it can happen to anybody. What you think, you also have the right to enjoy, you also have the right to acquire, and you are denied. Such a person may be demoralized, and the person may lose interest in forging ahead, in trying to put his or her own best. So demoralization is another consequence of gender discrimination. Next one is underutilization of human resources. Underutilization of human resources. When a particular gender is denied certain opportunities, it means that person's skill will not be utilized, leading to wastage of knowledge. Maybe the person had acquired that knowledge, spending years at university or any place of learning, and at the end, such a person is denied the opportunity to work or to make use of the knowledge. So it will lead to waste of knowledge. So solutions to gender discrimination. We have looked at the consequences of gender discrimination. We talked about poverty, underutilization of resources, and all that. Now solutions. First one, allowing men and women to have equal opportunities. That we should change our orientation. We are all equal. Male and female should have equal opportunities, equal benefits, and that will really go a long way to help our society. Next one is abolishing bad cultural practices which discriminate against women. We have some cultural practices that discriminate against women, so we should stop those practices. So we should stop those practices, and when we do that, it will help us in making the society better. Next is respecting the fundamental human rights of women. Respecting the fundamental human rights of women. Yes, women is listed here because I think it's forced more on women than men. Maybe traditional titles, education, politics, and in some other areas like that. So, if you want to provide solution to gender discrimination, we should also respect the fundamental human rights of women. They should have equal opportunity in politics, acquiring traditional titles, family ties, and so on. So all these we have discussed in today's lesson. Now it's time for evaluation. I have two questions. The first question, what is gender discrimination? The second one, list any 4 areas of gender discrimination. You have just 30 seconds to attempt this. Uncle Popo is here. I believe you are still there. So let's mark together. What is gender discrimination? Gender discrimination means unequal treatment given to a particular gender, whether a male or female, over another for benefit or opportunity. List any 4 areas of gender discrimination: education, employment, politics, family ties, inheritance, and so on. Mark accordingly and rate yourself. Before I call it a day today, let me bring to you the song that the king later sang before I left his palace. After the details about gender discrimination, the king now changed the song to, when I say they are all children, then you will say Omo Ojo Omo Lo. So that's how the king later changed the song. So let's go. They are all children, Omo Ojo Omo Lo. They are all children, Omo Ojo Omo Lo. They are all children, Omo Ojo Omo Lo. That's it for today. Until next time, Uncle Popo says, keep on studying. Bye.
My wonderful pupils, we have come to the end of another beautiful edition of The Classroom in Your Home.
Beautiful indeed, and exciting it was for us. We hope that you had fun learning with us, because we have had fun bringing all these wonderful lessons at home to you. Now, remember that practice will make you a perfect person. Now, the only way you can develop your skills that you have learned is to practice them using our online tests that we have structured for you. You can find these online tests using the link bit.ly/LASUBEBTests. The link again is bit.ly/LASUBEBTests. We encourage you to do this test because that's our way of knowing how well you are performing, because our aim is to help you to improve on your performance.
Taking the online test is based on if you have access to either your daddy's, your mommy's, your uncle's, or your auntie's Android or smartphones. If not, there's no problem. Just send your questions, your comments, and your assignment to 081 5086 5663. Please do not call that number. SMS and WhatsApp messages only. And when you are sending in your assignments, make sure that you indicate your name,
your school,
your class,
and your local government education authority. This is the only way by which we will be able to identify you and reward you accordingly.
Did you miss any of the lessons today? Do not worry. All the lessons taught today and the previous ones are on Lagos Superb YouTube channel for you to watch. You just need to subscribe to Lagos Superb YouTube channel in order to get notification when new videos are uploaded. The Classroom in Your Home could be watched live on Facebook, the same time airing on television through the page showing on the screen.
Until our next lesson, where we shall meet again on another beautiful edition of The Classroom in Your Home, make sure you do your assignments.
Wash your hands regularly.
Keep studying hard, but above all,
Stay safe.
Because at LASUBEB,
we leave no child behind.